Hey guys, welcome back to the shack. Tonight we got a record breaker. Tonight I'm going to be going over the most powerful laser that has been in the shack so far. And I know it's hard to believe, guys, but there's a new record as far as maximum output, and tonight's record setting machine is a 33 watt output, and I can verify that it definitely is way more than anything that I've got in the shop currently. So Atomstack sent me the machine out. They've sent me pretty much all the peripherals that go with the machine. Tonight I'm going to be showing you the setup. It consists of the Atomstack A30. I've got their rotary and chuck setup that goes with it, as well as the camera that you've already seen and the cutting surface that goes with it. The only thing we don't got, guys, is an enclosure. So luckily, I think this one has a home in my smaller enclosure as soon as this testing is done, and so it's going to be getting one or upgrading this one for it anyway. I'm going to sit down, we're going to go over everything that I've figured out about the machine, the likes and dislikes, the pros, the cons, however you want to look at it, and we're just going to make some smoke. So stick around. All right, guys, here it is, okay? This is kind of temporary setup that I usually use for most of my machines, but I made it a little more permanent in the way that I have clamped everything to the table just to do this testing. And this is just going to be the first video that I make with this, guys. I'm going to be doing some more testing, playing with some other stuff with the machine, just putting it through the paces. And I had the door open earlier because I was doing a lot of cutting, and bugs are in here. So if you see me doing this, it's not like a twitch or anything. There's like little bugs everywhere. So first thing I want to go over, guys, before I forget, is when I got the A30, I went in, I got it put together, which was a breeze, by the way. This is one of the simpler machines, very similar to the last one I put together. There's literally a handful of screws, and I think the installation were like steps 1 through 4. The book was actually rather good. I wasn't expecting much. I don't expect much out of the instruction manuals with these machines, but this one actually did really well. Easy to follow, orient and everything. You know, the big tips that I would give you is just remember limit switch. It goes on the left front, and pretty much if you remember that, that's the only part that I thought might be a little confusing. That I had to look at it twice to make sure I was doing it correctly. Your limit switch is going to be the front left corner right up here. And if you stretch the wiring harness out on these things when you're putting them together, guys, it'll kind of tell on itself because you'll see where the wire is for the limit switch. But that was really the only part that, you know, took any thought, really. Everything else was kind of good, easy to go together. The gantry comes pretty much all the way assembled. Wiring and hoses is pretty much the only thing you have to add to that. The belts, you do have to add the belts and the belt retention screws here. Put the legs on it, put the 4 pieces of the frame together. The gantry goes on there. I mean, it's seriously, guys, it's a really, really easy assembly compared to some machines. So I'll give them that. Atomstack done good on the assembly part. Very simple. Once I did get it together, I checked the rollers, and the rollers on this one, and I may have just got lucky, but the rollers seemed really well adjusted. It's smooth, but yet stable. Doesn't have any issues. This one does have the timing linkage, but when you're putting the belts on there, if you do everything right, you don't really have to mess with the timing linkage. I probably should have went across it and made sure that all the screws were tight, because I have run into that with some other machines, but so far with this one, I have run it a lot, and so far haven't had any issues with anything coming loose. Now, on the LightBurn end of things, the one thing that I will say, guys, is when I got this thing and I started putting it in LightBurn, I started doing some tests. And these are the tests that I was doing. Okay, the cut test, it did awesome. All right, I was getting 1-pass cuts all the way up to 17 speed at 90% output. And you can look at the back. It was still trying to come through on some of the higher speeds, but just not enough that I would count that as a successful cut. Some of these I actually had to push a little harder than I liked, but they did come out relatively clean. Realistically speaking, I'm thinking 14 to 12 is probably where I would want to run this on actual jobs, because just because it will do it doesn't mean it's always going to do it. But that's still 12 to 14 is still substantially faster than what I'm used to, even with the 20s. So, but this was what concerned me is I did these two test grids, and guys, I went ranges all the way up from 50 millimeters to a second all the way to 500. And if you look, it was like, you know, down here, you see some difference, and then everything, it was like a carbon copy. So had me scratching my head for a second after that second one burned, and I didn't see a fade in the coloring, and I realized that LightBurn, the machine was limited to 6,000 millimeters per minute in the controller settings in LightBurn. So I had to go in and adjust that. Now, I did see some stuff on Atomstack's page where they advertised this machine where they were going much faster than that, like the 8,000 millimeters per second or millimeters per minute and so forth. And so I kind of took what they had done on their site, and I went in and I've readjusted it. I've got it set now to max out at 18,000 millimeters per minute, which is substantially faster. So that way I can run the speed on up and get the fade that I want as far as the power. Once I did that, guys, I went back and I run more speed tests, and I actually was able to get a gradient out of it. So now I have got the speeds to where it will go fast enough, and you can see, I think I had that upside down for you guys. Let me move over here where I can show you. But you can see here, this scale goes from 50 millimeters per second and 50% power over to 100% power up to 300 millimeters per second. And you can see I am getting a gradient doing it that way. So 300, realistically 300 is probably as high as I would want to go. Now keep in mind, guys, when you start running those high speeds, the higher the speed, the more standoff you're going to have from the edge of the work area due to the over travel as the machine goes back and forth. And that was something that I did notice, is that, you know, if you're doing something really large that goes near the borders, you're going to have to slow it down and kill the power a little bit, because running those speeds takes a lot more of a lead to allow that head to pass by during the burn. But over here, I was even able to do, I've got it running right here, speed from 500 to 700. Of course, it maxed out because I've got it set at 18,000 millimeters per minute, but I went ahead and ran that just to see. And that proved that that is exactly what's going on, is the software is limiting the speeds, and once it reaches a certain speed, it's just not going to go any faster because it's limited. But I left it alone because I really don't have any need to go any faster than, say, the 300 or so. But I went back after I did that because I had ruined this board with these large burns that I did that took an hour and were useless. So I went back and reran the cut. All right, this is 2 passes. I did a 2-pass power test on it, and I was able to actually go all the way up to 35 millimeters per second with 2 passes. And on a single pass, it was still running around 20 was the max. Like I said, I would still probably stay down here in the 13 to 14 range, because you get into that, you're kind of right at that point to where it's not going to cut, and you don't want, you know, spots in your cuts. So if you look at the back, it's still penetrating, but not enough to get a cut. And then, guys, this is actually where, instead of wasting more wood, I did my calibration on my camera that's on the machine now. So all in all, guys, this thing is a beast when it comes to cutting. So far, it has cut, I've cut some 1/2 inch material with it, and there's the little letters. I cut some letters out of 1/2 inch material. I cut the word, or the name A30, I cut it out of some 1/2 inch, I think that was cypress, and it cut really well. This is the focus tool. It almost looks like a little wrench too. I think it would double as a wrench with those 2 little holes there. It looks suspiciously close to a wrench, but you know, who knows. It seems to work pretty well. They do allow you to be able to use it with the shield on or without the shield. Basically, you just turn it, orient it taller if you take the shield off. Now, y'all know how I feel about these shields. So guys, mine is off. The good part about it is though, there's only 2 screws. There's 2 screws that holds this shield on, and then there's another 2 screws set off like this that hold the cone around the laser module. So all you got to do is take these 2 screws out. This pops off. This is metal. It has the orange material here to block the laser. But then you can just take and put those screws back in the hole, snug them down. And if you ever do want to put it back on, it's really not that hard. It's 2 screws. But for me, it just makes it easier to clean it with the thing off, and I can see what I'm doing a lot better. And I'm wearing my glasses, and if I'm not wearing my glasses, it'll be in an enclosure later on once I get it moved into one. Also, guys, it comes with an air assist pump. Now, I will tell you this. As far as these type pumps go, I usually don't like them. They're usually really, really loud, vibrate a lot, and I just don't like them. This one, however, is a lot quieter. I don't know if you can hear that, but I've got it up, and you can hear the air hissing, but you can't hear this running. And I can tell by listening to it that this obviously is built up to maintain a steady stream of air. It is putting out as much air pressure to the nozzle as what I would normally be introducing with shop air. You guys that don't like loud things, probably not going to really care for this machine, but it's 33 watts of power, guys. So it is rather loud. I'm going to turn this on and you will hear it. It is loud, but that's the price you pay for having 33 watts of power. So here we go. All right. Machine homes. It does have limit switches, brings it home. While we're at this point, one of my few gripes that I have with this machine, and it's not just this machine, it's a lot of them. Why? Why do the cables have to come out of the top? Why couldn't they have came out the side over here? I mean, is that too much to ask? This is a clean, nice looking machine. And I got this. I know I'm just being picky, guys, but that I don't like. I really wish these were on the side over here. Maybe had like some flat connectors. That would be nice. It does come with the offline controller. Now, guys, I don't generally use these a lot. If you're using it at an event, or if you're, got a file that you burn a lot and you want to take this thing outside and not have to lug around a computer, then this would be handy, but it's just not what I normally do. I have used it. I will use it from time to time. All right, so I'm gonna put my material up here. And like I said, guys, this is the Atomstack Maker cutting surface that I did the video about here a while back. If you want more information on that, like I said, I've got videos on it as well as the Atomstack camera that I'm using. Got a nice clean image there. I do like the camera. I've actually been using the camera as kind of a document camera during my lives and stuff. It works really well. Not a bad camera. The arm, with the way that it works, it's pretty sturdy. If you've got an enclosure, you probably wouldn't really care about the mount and the arm, but the camera itself, it does a good job. As you can see here on the screen, everything shows up nice and crisp. It's in focus, and that's even with me running auto in here with all these lights on. So with this offline control, the screen is very, very simple. If you've ever ran an Atomstack with an offline controller, this one looks a lot like the P9M40 that I got. So you just hit carve. There's files will be in here, and you will be able to select one of them. I'm going to go with the butterfly. Okay, I'm not sure what the butterfly is supposed to look like, but that doesn't really look like a butterfly. Maybe it is. Maybe it's got a box around it. So we're going to wait and see what the butterfly looks like. All right, guys, while that's finishing, it actually is a butterfly. It had a square box around it. It had me a little concerned for a moment there, but it is taking a little while. We're going to let it burn. And while that burns, I want to kind of go over the rotary setup with you as well. And like I said, this is just kind of my first video, guys, just kind of running through all this stuff and giving you an idea of what's out there. Feel free to do your own research. Go check out the links that I'll put down below, and you can look at this stuff and see the specs. But I will tell you this chuck and this roller are pretty awesome, okay? These are the legs that come with the machine, and guys, I don't know if I got, carried away or what, but I only found 2. So I think that's me. But the bad news is the box isn't with us anymore. So I may have thrown them away because they're very light, and I did not realize that there were supposed to be 4 of them until after the box got rid of. So anyway, that's probably on me. I'm pretty sure they were in there. Everything else was there. I have no reason to believe that they weren't there. But for some reason, I ended up with only 2. But the way these work is these slide over the legs here, and they've got a little screw that you can push through that goes through the hole here in the foot, and this just kind of adds a base and extends it up to do tumblers and whatnot. But the machine actually is pretty tall, so with smaller things and the roller, you could do those, and certain things with the chuck, you could do it even without the legs. But since somebody lost 2 of my legs, we're gonna have to improvise, apparently, because I don't have any more. I don't have any that'll fit. The roller also comes with the 2 sets of chuck teeth as well as the pins. This is awfully similar to another rotary that I have as far as the size, the quality of the build. I mean, this is a really nice one. I have another one that is not as nice as these. But this guy is definitely nice. You've got the roller here that goes with the whichever one you need it with. And of course, this guy has a dovetail that is used with the chuck. And this is very, very similar to the setup that I used the other day to do the eggs with. It has a little bit of spring to it, so that when you tighten it up and you put it up against whatever it is that you're engraving, it kind of helps hold it on the chuck. So if you're having problems with tumblers that maybe have a little bit of a taper and you're trying to hold them on the inside and they're trying to slide out, this would be something that would help with that. So that's really handy. I'm working on a little bit better, nicer box to hold all of these supplies with, but for now, that's what I got. But the roller is pretty simple. You've got the stepper motor here, which does have an adjustment screw, which is used for adjusting the tension and to move this thing back and forth. If you want it off to the side, you can move it off to the side either direction, which I think is pretty neat. However, you would have a little bit more difficult time getting to the plug, so you might want to plug it up before you go to sliding it one way or the other and reconfiguring it. Also, you have thumb screws here to move the roller in or out. Got a pretty nice adjustment from side to side. They've got that nice high friction material on them, and it's just a good looking roller, guys, and it's heavy. It's not light by any means. This is definitely, when you get these things out of the box, you can tell these are not toys, and there's not a lot of, you don't have to take this off to use this, and that's what I like about it versus some of the other ones. This one, as well as the last one I got in, both of them share a lot of the same characteristics. You've got this really large nut that is easy to grab and easy to get a little torque on it so it doesn't move. On this side, you've actually got the angle, the measurements, in case you're wanting a specific angle, which most of the time you're going to be trying to get it, lined up so that the contour of the object is flat. But that might come in handy if you wanted a certain angle. This one does go all the way around 180 degrees. So you could, in essence, do it that way if you wanted. Maybe if you had something that was really heavy and you just, wanted to put a counterweight on this side or something. But you can lock it in straight up and down here. Put you a level on here, lock this thing in, and go from there. The one thing that I like about these the most is there's no chuck key. You just unscrew and screw this big ring right here, and they come out. All right, you go the other way, and they go back in. Now, I haven't put the plastic teeth on here yet, or the pins or anything, because I haven't decided what exactly I want to do with this rotary just to demonstrate it. But that will be coming in a later video. But really robust, really solid, really sturdy. You're not going to have to worry about anything that you're putting in there overloading that big guy. All right, so file is done. Yes. I'm going to go back to carve. I'm going to home the machine using the offline controller. The only caveat to being able to home the machine with the offline controller is you do actually have to pull up one of the engraves in order to get that functionality. But it's not terrible. It does work. So we're going to go ahead and ditch the offline controller, guys. I don't need that. And we're going to get in LightBurn for a second. All right, that's going to take me right to the edge of the material, but that'll work. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this at 10 millimeters a second at 100% output, and I will be running the air assist all the way up. Now, I just want to make sure, because this is a really thin burn, so I don't want to take any chances on having snags. Look how fast that guy goes. Now, it is going to get smoky in here, because I don't have any smoke extraction set up. I may have to actually open the door again, guys. Hoping it won't take that long. But as you can see, clean drop. The cutting surface does a really good job of holding up these little small pieces. I was a little concerned at first that it was going to be a problem, but it's not. Let me grab my little stick here. All right, so all the little pieces, they came out. This is Luan, so there is some glue pockets in places, but some really fine detail here that I'm gonna have to push out. As you can see, 10 millimeters a second, clean cut. With the air assist, I got no scorch marks, and even on the back, I got no scorch marks. Now, this cutting surface does operate different than a honeycomb, so I think that kind of helps with the scorch marks. I got that little guy to fall out, but all in all, guys, good burn. All right, guys, so that's just kind of the preliminary. That's where I'm at right now. Still haven't had the machine but a couple of days, so I don't want to go to call too many things. I'm still trying to find the machine's weak points and its strengths. Obviously, speed and power are two strengths that it has. I'm going to be doing some testing with different images and different file types, and just kind of see where it lands, see where I land as far as can I use that potential speed and power to make jobs go a little faster. I have cut out a couple of boxes with it, a couple like a little toolbox and some other things. And so far, it performs really well, just at faster speeds than what I'm used to. But I'm trying not to go too crazy and set too high of expectations, and just keep it reasonable. But it does take a lot less time, because I'm seeing, on average, at least a 50% increase in the speed, and still maintaining the accuracy and stuff over my 20 watts. So that's pretty good. That I can actually, even without pushing this machine to its limits, I can get about a 50% increase in my burn times. That's pretty awesome, especially for somebody who turns out a lot of repeat items. That would make a huge difference if you're burning 200 of something or 100 of something. So I'm gonna keep testing. I'm gonna keep playing with this machine. But so far, guys, there's a new there's a new king in town as far as power goes here at the Clack Shack. And we'll see if what it has in power, it also has in durability, because I'm putting this thing through the ringer. So stay tuned, and until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.